God bless you, my brothers and sisters. Today is day 5 of Lent. We are continuing in our 40 Days of Decrease series. And on day 5, we are fasting from tidy faith. This is taken from John chapter 12, verses 1 through 11. Some faith looks beautiful because it's controlled. It stays neat, predictable, and safe. It never spills. It never surprises. It never embarrasses. And that photographs well. It fits cleanly into categories and schedules, but it rarely transforms deeply. Tidy faith knows how to behave, but it does not always know how to love. Most of us are drawn to it because it feels responsible. It feels measured and reasonable. Tidy faith keeps devotion manageable and worship efficient. It reduces risk, avoids excess, protects us from being misunderstood. But Lent invites us to ask whether this kind of faith is forming us or just keeping us comfortable. John takes us to Bethany, to a dinner table where resurrection is sitting down to eat. Lazarus is there, and he is living evidence of Jesus's power. Martha is there. She is serving. She is steady. She is faithful. Jesus is present. Passover is near. And then Mary shifts the room into a sermon without explanation, without calculation, without concern for how it would be received. Her worship is costly, it is embodied, and it is misunderstood. And that's precisely why it belongs to Lent. And so today we fast from tidy faith and learn again how love pours out. In John chapter 12, verse 3, John tells us that Mary took a pound of expensive ointment, pound of expensive, a pound of expensive ointment made from pure nard and anointed the feet of Jesus. I want you to think about this for a minute. Imagine you went to the fish market and you bought a pound of fish. It's too much for one person. Imagine you got a pound of lotion and tried to put it just on your feet. You've been walking around with your feet slipping all over the place. She took a pound, not of the cheap stuff, but of expensive ointment made from pure nard and anointed the feet of Jesus. Then John adds the detail that refuses to be ignored, that the house was filled with the fragrance of the perfume. Worship here is not abstract, it's physical. It has texture, it has weight, it leaves a trace. And in that culture, feet carried the dust of the road. Washing feet was servant work, work reserved for the lowest place among the social standing of that day. Hair, on the other hand, carried dignity and honor. For Mary to wipe Jesus' feet with her hair was not only intimate, it was public and it was vulnerable, because love often crosses lines that pride works hard to protect. Listen to it again. Love often crosses lines that pride works hard to protect. The costliness matters because love always spends something. It spends time, attention, reputation, convenience, and resources. Mary's act presses a sharp question on the church. Have we limited devotion to what feels reasonable? Have we trained ourselves to give God only what can be explained, justified, and approved? Mary's worship anticipates the cross. She honors Jesus before others are ready to face the cost of redemption. Love, when it's true, often sees further than prudence. But not everyone receives Mary's worship as beautiful. Judas objects in verse 5. Why was this ointment not sold? for 300 denarii and given to the poor. The argument sounds compassionate. It sounds reasonable. It sounds socially responsible. John tells us the truth beneath the tone, though. Judas was a thief, according to verse 6. The critique was tidy, but the motive was crooked. Lent teaches us to examine not only what we say, but why we say it. Sin rarely announces itself as sin. It's always dressed as prudence. It sounds like wisdom. It hides behind phrases like balance and efficiency or being realistic. But tidy faith often critiques what it does not want to risk. Here in John chapter 12, the text presses a difficult but necessary question. What devotion do we quietly label as too much because it makes us uncomfortable? What acts of love do we critique, not because they're wrong, but because they expose our restraint? Jesus intervenes in verse 7. Leave her alone. He receives Mary's act and defends her. Then he adds, you will always have the poor with you. That's not permission to ignore the poor. It's the recalibration in a sacred hour. Mary is honoring the cost of redemption before others are ready to even face it. And in a few days, Jesus's body will be broken for the life of the world. Her love fits the hour. She pours out what is precious because she recognizes what is coming. And here the church is taught to hold worship and mercy together. Worship that ignores neighbors is not Christ-like, and mercy that ignores worship becomes mere activism. But true worship fuels true mercy. When love is poured out toward Christ, it does not diminish the poor, it deepens it. Jesus does not call Mary's worship inefficient, he calls it fitting. And in a world obsessed with efficiency, Lent reminds us that love is not always efficient. Love is faithful. Here's the heart of day 5. Tidy faith measures, costly love pours. Tidy faith asks, how much is enough? Love asks, what does Christ deserve? Tidy faith stays safe. Love risks misunderstanding. It's not a call to theatrics, it's a call to sincerity. It's a call to worship that costs us something real and mercy that moves us toward the vulnerable. If our discipleship never risks misunderstanding, it may be because it never risks love. Judas reminds us that critique can become a cover. Some of our sharpest words can function as shields, but Lent invites us to ask, what am I protecting with my criticism? Sometimes we protect comfort, sometimes control, sometimes reputation, sometimes greed. So practice this today. Pair one act of worship with one act of mercy. Spend time with Jesus in prayer, then spend time with someone in need. Give something that costs you more than spare change, but do it quietly and let love be love. And receive this assurance that love poured out for Christ is never wasted. Some call it excessive, but Jesus calls it fitting. God bless you, my brothers and sisters. Remember to take a moment at the end of this video to pray that God would teach you how to have loving faith over tidy faith. God bless you, and we'll see you on day 6.